So you said she's in the family business. Was that something that you wanted her to do, or were you like, you focus on the family, I'll focus on the business? Like, how did it get to the point where she came into the business?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's in her own family business. She's in the hair care industry.
You guys are doing two separate
Two
things.
separate businesses. And I meant, yeah, so she's in a hair care business that her grandfather started. And now, yeah.
So how does that work for you? Because I know with a lot of successful men, they're like, no, I want you to focus on my business and help us grow this empire,
Hmm.
right? So how did you want that, or were you like, no, go pursue your own thing?
No, I think that you can look at it two ways, right? I'm an investor, right? I worked on Wall Street. And at the end of the day, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. And also, you also, from a portfolio standpoint, you want to be diversified, right? And so having different sources of income is right. We can both have income from just one job. And if my business slows down, AKA the same business we're both in, then we both smoke.
That's good.
Everything just came off stage. I thought it was a phenomenal panel. Few people, obviously I'm biased, but a lot of people said it was the best panel ever. Life changing.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I'm from the south side of Chicago, and I'm south side of Chicago, grew up, you know, in a dope little area on the south side. In South Shore. So South Shore is a very interesting neighborhood, but nonetheless, went to Whitney Young's alma mater that Michelle Obama went to. From there, went to the Ivy League school, UPenn, University of Pennsylvania Wharton School. And from there, I worked on Wall Street for a number of years. And so I'm a South Side to Wall Street guy that in turn said everything that I've learned on Wall Street, that I was exposed to on Wall Street, I wanted to bring back to my community. And so where I'm at now is I bought all of the knowledge, the technical skills, and just things that I learned from being in the rooms back to my community. So now I have a production company called Maconomics, and it's a financial literacy company, and we specialize in finding more easily digestible ways to help our community understand, like, okay, this is how you invest, this is why you need life insurance, this is how to prepare to make sure your kids graduate debt-free, and the list goes on. And so I do work with BET, with Revolt. I have a show on Revolt. I have a Netflix documentary called Get Smart with Money. I do things with Complex, and I do a decent amount of speaking as well.
So are we single, married? What's our status?
I have a ring on my finger. I am married.
So how long have you been married?
I've been married for, what year is this? 2023, since 2021.
Okay. So 2021. Okay, when did you meet her? Let's take it back.
High school,
Wow.
yes.
Do you mind sharing the year?
I mean, I'll just say that we was 15 and 16. I don't even know what year that is. '05, I think 2005.
15, 16. So you guys dated for a long.
So yeah, we dated in high school. We broke up in college, and then we got back together a few years later. She knows the month to month. She loves telling this story. Yeah, y'all do.
So what took so long?
I mean, just whether it's maturity or just life, right? Like I think life comes. Everybody has a different vision of what they want, and but life. That's it. That's all.
Yes.
We have 2 young babies and another one in the oven. We're about to have 3 under 3. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so within your journey, you obviously have been building this career.
Mhm.
You've been dating her.
Mhm.
Did that waver in terms of you being wanting to be married? Or was that something that you always wanted to do? And you were just like, let me just wait until I'm established? Like, what was the process?
So that's a very great question, right? And I have friends, and I actually look at it more so with kids, right? In terms of like wavering, this, that, and the third. And when I look at kids first, and I'll come back to a relationship, is like I have friends, and they're like, man, I ain't ready to have kids. And the reason they say they're not ready to have kids, because when we think as men, as providers, right? When we think about having kids, we want to be at a certain financial level. We want to be rich. We want to make sure our kids never have to go through maybe the experiences that we endured, right? And so I always tell a person, there's never a right time to have kids. Even if I had $20 million, I'm probably gonna want 25. So there's never a right time to have kids. However, when your kids get here, it's the perfect time. And so I say it like that all the time. And so coming back to the relationship, I think that I just looked and found that, my wife was the right person. She edifies me. We push one another. She's in a family business. We have a great, relationship. She's a phenomenal mom. She does things I can't do, and I do things she can't do.
So you said she's in the family business. Was that something that you wanted her to do, or were you like, you focus on the family, I'll focus on the business? Like, how did it get to the point where she came into the business?
Oh, I'm sorry. She's in her own family business. She's in the hair care industry.
You guys are doing two separate things.
Two separate businesses. And I meant, yeah, so she's in a hair care business that her grandfather started. And now, yeah.
So how does that work for you? Because I know with a lot of successful men, they're like, no, I want you to focus on my business and help us grow this empire, right? So did you want that, or were you like, no, go pursue your own thing?
No, I think that you can look at it two ways, right? I'm an investor, right? I worked on Wall Street, and at the end of the day, you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. And also, from a portfolio standpoint, you want to be diversified, right? And so having different sources of income is right. We could both have income from just one job. And if my business slows down, AKA the same business we're both in, then we both smoked. And so I look at it as saying being diversified, but this is a passion. And it's in the beauty industry. Women love beauty. That's something that you see during COVID, people still buying beauty products, regardless if they was at home on Zoom or not going to the club. Like, women love their beauty. So it's one of those things.
So if you were ever asked, okay, Ross, I really feel like this is like taking off, I need to be like more focused on the business, would you pull back, or how would you handle that?
If she said her business is taking off, we would just hire help. Yeah.
It's like resources.
Yeah, I mean, so, people have money for freedom and freedom of time, right? I think that that's the luxury of what money gets. It's not like, oh, I want to buy this car, so I want to have more time to either spend with my kids or have the resources to hire certain people, nannies, that you don't have to feel guilty about, going out or going to pursue your business.
Mm-hmm. Has it ever come to a situation where you had to do that? You had to like outsource different parts of the relationship?
Yeah, all the time, right? I think so. My wife is currently pregnant. I'm out of town. And so I sit and I say, okay, how can I make it easier for her? And she has, the two kids. So I don't know if it's my mom there, if I call my nanny to go over there. But at the end of the day, the one thing we're always thinking about is how can I make her pregnancy easier? How can I make her burden less, right? We had cleaning once a week, dropping off laundry. What's the other one? Oh yeah, the nanny coming over. So but that is, I think, when you think about what keeps when you think about the stresses or the arguments that happen in a relationship, it comes from one person being, the number one thing sometimes is infidelity and then money. But after that, you really want to look at it and say, okay, why is my partner stressed? How can I make that person less stressed? Oh, I got to clean the house. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to get the kids ready. And it's like it's a partnership, and I take the kids to school. She'll pick them up, or vice versa. And, does she do things that I can't? Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Because that's just a maternal instinct.
A piece of advice for men who have been dating their partner, considering being married, but haven't made the decision, what advice would you give them to make that move so that they feel comfortable making that?
Here's what I'll say. When you're married and you have kids, I always bring it with the kids, you just got more purpose, you got more focus, you're more driven, because you know what you're living for, you know what you're working for. And I think it makes it makes your focus about going about business easier, right? It's just like you got a different type of drive because you know what you have sitting at home, you know what you're providing for, right? And so the person that is considering making a leap, at the end of the day, it's a serious decision, right? This is your biggest decision in the world, who you're gonna have children with. So I think, I can't tell you to do it because I don't know who you've been interviewing. It's a lifelong interviews what dating is, but once you make that, this is your job for the rest of your life. And so you got to make sure it's the right job.
That's dope. How can the people find you?
People can find me on all social platforms. I'm Ross Mack. That's IMROSSMAC. So not I am, but I'm Ross Mack.